We've just looked at how to edit existing shapes, but we haven't yet looked at how to draw a shape from scratch. Now, the tool to draw a shape from scratch in Sketch is called the Vector tool. For those of you who are familiar or have experience with Adobe Illustrator, the Vector tool is the direct equivalent to the Pen tool. To begin using the Vector tool, choose Insert, followed by Vector, the very first option on the menu. You could also tap the letter V at any time to switch to the Vector tool. Now, the Vector tool allows you to click to map out points, anchor points, for your path. Now, as you're drawing, you're creating an open path, but when you click on your original point, it closes that path and turns it into a complete shape. It's pretty simple to create a path with all straight lines. Now let's take a look at how to curve those lines. I'm going to delete my shape and tap the letter V to return to my Vector tool. Now when I click, it maps out a point. As I move, I'm getting a straight line because I haven't established a curve yet. But when I click and hold my cursor, I can drag from that point to pull out my little magnetic control handles, and I can create a curve. Now, when I let go and I start moving away, it's going to map out my second point, and that curve is going to be based on my previous curve relative to my next point. So I'll click and hold, and I'll drag again, and you can see I can change the angle of this curve here. But each time I click and drag, I'm creating a mirrored, symmetrical curved line each and every time. It's not allowing me to do a disconnected or asymmetric or straight line if I click and drag. Straight is by clicking and not dragging, mirrored is by clicking and dragging. But of course there is a trick. Once you've established a curve, you can let go, and you can still grab and modify these control handles. If I hold the Command key, however, I can control one and break it off from the other to create a hard corner. Now when I make my connection here, you see I got a hard corner over here. It allowed me to bend the curve coming in, but then straighten the line coming out. From here, editing is just like any other shape. I can select an anchor point, and I can manipulate my control points. It's never too late to fix something that I made a mistake on. In fact, as you're drawing, sometimes you're better off making a mistake and continuing than you are starting over. Starting over can be a heck of a lot of work. Now, for those of you who are pretty talented at drawing, you might think that the Vector tool is the worst thing that's ever happened. And if that is the case, then there is a tool for you. There's another tool called the Pencil tool. So I'm going to hit Escape followed by Delete to remove my shape. And under Insert, there's a tool here, Pencil, which is the letter P. And with that, I can freehand. And as I freehand, Sketch is automatically going to take what I've drawn and turn it into vector shapes. So I'm going to hit the Escape key to go back to my normal cursor. I've got my shape selected. I'll hit Return, and I can see that Sketch has automatically mapped out all the points and the Bezier curves for me, and I don't have to deal with any of that. I can just freehand everything. So for those of you who don't like the Vector tool or find it difficult to work with, you're not alone. It's probably the single most difficult tool in any drawing application, and unfortunately, it's pretty much the same in every drawing application. It's just plain tricky. So feel free to draw by hand, or, better yet, in our next lesson, we're going to talk about how to use a combination of simple shapes to create more complicated shapes without having to draw anything by hand.